Parents want to follow me to college. Hey guys, so pretty much the title. I've been applying to colleges, pretty far away from home. Recently, my father told me he wants to sell the house. Naturally, I asked where he would plan on moving, and he said he was waiting to see where I got accepted. Honestly, part of why I applied far away was so I could get away and start things on my own in my own way. I know for fairness to myself, I should tell them, but I know it would hurt them and I feel bad. I just am unsure how to go about the conversation, if I should go about it at all in the first place. Edit. I feel this is an important detail I left out. I'm applying for graduate school. Edit 2. Thanks everyone for the sound advice and help. I really appreciate it. To avoid being too repetitive in the comments, the hardest part is going about bringing it up and trying to keep everyone's heads level. You all gave me so many great ideas on how to combat that. I'll be having the talk with them soon. Just tell them. Stop worrying about hurting their feelings. You think it's better for them to sell their house and uproot their lives and move across the country or world just because you don't want to hurt their feelings? Tell them. Hey, Dad, I'm really touched by the fact that you and Mom and to move closer to where I go to school. I really think I need to learn to be a bit more independent, though, and I'd rather spend some time living farther away. I promise I'll be in touch and visit often. I think I would say something like, graduate school is only temporary. Please don't uproot your lives to follow me somewhere I mostly likely won't stay. If they choose to move, that's their choice. But do go ahead and make sure you've secured your own housing and do some reading on how to establish boundaries so they aren't all over you or expecting you to come to dinner every night or something. Many people have to go through a period in their lives where they have to establish independence from their parents as adults. For some reason, a lot of parents want to hang on to controlling their kids' lives past when it's appropriate, and sometimes this transition is painful. You do not have to defend yourself. It's not something you have to get into a heated debate about. You can simply establish appropriate boundaries and stick to them. Your parents will hate it, but an argument would not change anything for you. That's why you should just establish your boundary as tactfully but firmly as possible and then not get sucked into an argument. No is a complete sentence. Good luck. Why would you not tell them? Go to NYU, Columbia, any school in NY and then tell them good luck. You're applying to graduate school. Tell them you'd rather them not move to be close to you. Explain why and leave it at that. Never apologize for wanting your own life. Just be honest. There's probably a good medium for both of you. I went to college about 2 hours from home and it did feel like I was pretty far away, but I liked not having a crazy commute back home. Having your parents far away but still in driving distance would be nice, I think. Adulthood is taken, not given, is an expression I read in here often. It applies to you. Depending on the program, you could be in school for anywhere from 1 to 7 years. Selling the house just to move near you doesn't really seem like a financially sound decision when you put it into that perspective. And what happens if, when you get a job 2 states away from where you get your degree? Or longer distance than that? It's best to bring up your concerns about this before they happen, and don't let their fear of an empty nest limit your decision making. Best of luck with your applications. The hardest part is going about bringing it up and trying to keep everyone's heads level. Hey, I just wanted to say it's not your job to manage other people's emotions. You can only be responsible for your own. Don't get caught up in trying to mitigate or prevent their reactions. It's okay to do what's best for you even if it means upsetting other people, like don't be a psychopath about though ha. They know the umbilical cord was already cut, right? Bottom line, spit it out, otherwise they're coming with you. I understand they're trying to be supportive, but you have to tell them, hey Mom, Dad, I'm moved that you want to move closer, but I simply just don't want you to. I'll stay in touch. I would tell them. And then also let them know that just because you are going to school there does not mean you won't end up moving somewhere else after graduation. Let them know you love them, but it is time for you to be independent. Just tell them, because everything will go to shit if they follow you, and you end up resenting them because you feel like you're unable to live your life the way you want to. It's better to deal with it now, than in 5 years when it suddenly explodes all over everyone like an infected wound. I think explaining to them that you probably won't settle down permanently where you end up going to school would be a good place to start. If they buy a house where you go to school, they will be stuck there for 5 to 10 years whole. They build enough equity to be able to sell. So in 4 years you'll be leaving again. If they want to live near you once you've settled down, they should wait until after college and when you're sure you've found your forever home area. It's easier to tell people you have no investment in emotional or otherwise to back the fuck off. However, it is not so easy to express this sentiment to people we love and care for. Learning to enforce boundaries, especially with those we love, is an often overlooked skill set, and it needs to be practiced for us to become fluid in it. Learn to set and enforce healthy boundaries now, or you'll have a lifetime of frustration in your significant relationships, family, friends, and romantic relationships. We love our people and it's hard to do things which we know will be counter to what they want us to do, but sometimes, we relent at our own expense. Growth will betterment. Learn boundary enforcement and best of luck. Just want to say that I have parents like you op. For them, it was the money safety part, since pandemic, that they argued. And I agree with them to an extent. But I realize that I have to learn to be my own self, and it's best to start at the same time as most people. So I am now living on my own. It's hard to see my parents get so emotional every time we talk, but I know that I want to live for myself at least once. You probably know what you want to do, and I say, with all my inexperience, to just go for it. Tell them you want to try something new and that you will figure things out as you go. They probably just want things to stay the same, so if you take it slowly, I am guessing that they will get comfortable over time with the idea of letting you live your life. Best of luck. Hey, my parents followed me to college. I purposely chose schools in the complete other side of the country to apply to. 6 weeks into my freshman year, they announced that they were moving 20 minutes north of me. It's not so bad if you have your own place to live. I've also learned to set boundaries with them. Having parents close by is a great thing if you play it right. I didn't want it either. In fact, it is precisely what I was trying to avoid when choosing colleges. But as long as you have boundaries between you two, it actually works out for the better. On the other hand, you could just tell them you don't want to be in the same city as them, that you need space from them. Or just move somewhere that you know they don't want to go to. Just tell them you want to travel around after school and may not end up wherever you are applying with your career, so they shouldn't plan their life around that. Oh my God. I can really relate to that. They just want what's good for your, so they think, you can love your parents and want to be sway from them at the same time, lol. Especially for college. Damn, I'd really tell them that I want to be more independent and stuff if I were you. It's okay if you hurt their feelings. It'll last maybe like a week or so and then they'll forget it. If they still don't listen to you, then I'd say that your parents are a bit controlling. Whatever happens, good luck, op. Tell them, and also point out that where you go to school isn't necessarily where you will settle down. Who knows where your career will take you? So, it would be fairly short-sighted to sell a house, uproot their lives, and move. Only for you to move again a few years later. This is a totally valid concern. I just want to say life is funny because I wish my parents wanted to follow me to graduate school. Good luck. Apply to colleges in foreign countries, because if you apply overseas your parents can't move with you. This sounds like my cousins. Their dad said if they go to different schools his wife will go with one and he will go with the other. Condolences to both their freedom. Tell them how you feel and get it over with. About time you start to have some independence. Don't get parents that are so obsessed with their kids. Can't wait for mine to finally move out. I love them death, but I have spent their entire lives with them. I want the peace and quiet, lol. Whatever you do, don't break if they get into their feelings. I'm now 31 and just now doing things that matter to me. Throughout the years I had relationships and dreams crushed over it. Now things are going incredibly great for me. If only I knew when I graduated high school, things would have turned out differently. I'm lucky I learned now, but you don't have to wait that long. Trust me, they'll get over it. BWAHAAAA sounds like what I told both of my sons. They weren't happy with the idea either, so I dropped it knowing, they'll be back. But what if they were using reverse psychology on you to get you to go far away? BWAHAAAA. Y'all's lives seem like they're way too intertwined for them to even consider doing something like this. Sounds seriously twisted. It would be silly for your parents to move to where you go to grad school and uproot their lives when you are not necessarily going to be in that area after grad school. If you marry or have children in the future, having your parents nearby is highly beneficial. Maybe you can suggest that would be a better time for them to consider changing their living arrangements. Studies have shown young marriages survive better when both spouses have a solid support system, and typically I believe it was referring to having family in the vicinity. Same with children, because family ends to lend support of various types to young relatives with children. Support systems are extremely important. You can't really prevent your parents from moving to where you are, and I literally had the same problem for undergrad, but have an initial conversation, Mom, Dad, I love you guys, but I believe it's time for me to start my adult life, and that means moving out on my own and being able to start fresh in a new city. I want to move somewhere on my own, and I think it would be best if maybe we make separate decisions on where you'll move, because most likely I'll be in grad school for a few years and I don't want you to move constantly to keep up with me, and secondly, I want to be in a new place where I can make new friends, meet new people, and not feel tied down to family that I have in that place. If they move anyway, then it's time to start establishing boundaries. Pass. Also unreasonable, since you may move around for work. It will be hard, but it's best to tell them you're looking to learn more independence in college. Add that even if they live close by, you will not be going home every weekend to make sure that they know exactly how you will handle everything should they disregard your wishes. Just tell them, I have 2 teen children, and when they go to college I would love to be near them. If they go far away, I'd consider moving to be nearer to them. But if they came to me and told me they didn't want me to, I'd be briefly disappointed. But I'd also understand. I had parents too, and there was a period in my life when I wanted to be far away from them. As a parent, I'd also keep in mind that later in my child's life their opinion may change. Many kids are much more interested in being near their own parents when they want to start a family. I'm sure your parents will also feel a little disappointed, but they clearly love you and will understand. You probably won't find a job in the same town when you graduate. Ask them to wait a few years at least. Whether or not you want them near you, it's a poor decision on their part. I hope you have a positive and loving relationship with your parents. If so, one of the earlier comments was spot on for what you should say. However, if your relationship with them needs improvement, then all the more reason for some much-needed distance. You will need to establish boundaries with your parents sooner rather than later. It is a healthy thing to do and will save you a lot of grief later on. This is something that we all have to do, and yes, it is a little awkward at first, but they will have to realize that giving you space to become the person you need to be is fundamental to your development. They need to let go and trust that they raised you well. Good luck and hope you enjoy your college years. My parents said they would do the same thing when I started undergrad. They seemed very serious about it at the time and went as far as visiting my college town, making appointments to see homes for sale and attending open houses. But they never did follow me to college. I think they were just sad and bored. You know your parents best, but I think it's unlikely that they will actually buy a house in a faraway city just because that's where you're going to be in school for a couple of years. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just go to the school you want. Tell them nicely that you don't want them to come with you, but there is no point in arguing about it. Even if they move there too, you'll already have your own place and they can't make you live with them. Yup. It's time to leave home and start your own life. That's a healthy choice. Your parents trying to keep themselves as central to your life is unhealthy. Without question, tell them that you need to get off on your own, and if they want to help with moving or occasional other way, that's fine, but under no circumstances should you agree to have them move to your college town. I'd put my foot down and that would be final. Make light of it and tell them that wherever you plan to go to graduate school is not necessarily where you plan to stay for the rest of your life. Then tell them that they should get settled someplace else until you're ready to do the same. First off, congrats on grad school. That is amazing, as my son is choosing between 2 of his several colleges that accepted him for his undergraduate. One 6 hours away, the other on the other side of the U.S. Followed by, I had a coworker that's parents moved their family each time the oldest one was accepted into college. There were 9 of them. They stopped moving by the time she was in high school, and she had a strong dislike for her parents after all the moving. As far as them selling the house to move to be near you. No, you need your own life and you need to live on your own independently so you can grow and mature, learn from your mistakes, etc. You can live your own life and have them close. One isn't related to the other. Maybe suggest they chill until you get a career going so they don't move twice. Tell them, I live near Oxford. When my sister got accepted to Oxford Uni, she made it abruptly clear that she wouldn't be living at home even though it would only be like a 15 minutes drive in. Parents aren't gonna react negatively to their kids wanting to have some independence if they're remotely normal people. Whatever you do, don't justify, argue, defend or explain, because that gives them material for their loopholes. Especially the defending part. Remember that you do not need to defend your reasons, because they are valid, normal and expected. Deny them any fuel for the guilt trip they will try to inflict on you. Frame it in a way that's about your growth. I'd really like to move away so I can make sure that I'm able to support myself and not burden you guys. It's kinda hard to argue with that logic, as most parents want independent children, and it doesn't sound like you're running away cause you find them annoying. Not that you do, but people do jump to conclusions. In fact, it makes it sound like you're trying to be considerate of them. Just gotta tell them. If they get hurt, they'll understand eventually. Is it possible that maybe they want to be closer in proximity by states rather than town city? A few hour drive is still a pretty good distance, IDK. Oh wow, I didn't do anything like that, but my daughter went to a trade school FSR away, so it was like for 70 weeks straight. I missed her so much. Good luck. As someone who also moved away for college and had their parents unintentionally follow them, I think you'll find that having your parents somewhat nearby is a good thing in the long run. I get along with them a lot more now that I don't actually live with them and visiting is easy. I'm applying for graduate school. Tell your parents to fuck off. You're older than me. Act like an adult.